This is Shelly.
I'm Angie.
Karen.
This is Noelle. Go. And Holly's the disembodied voice.
Yes.
Hi.
So, Noelle had already kind of got us started with how she didn't really connect with Katniss. Did you feel that way, Holly?
I mean, I think that there were certain things I related to more than others. I mean, I appreciated the fact that, she really wanted to fight for her sister and her family and had to be the sole provider and that kind of a thing. But at a certain point, when it's like everybody is dying and somehow she managed to sort of not necessarily come out unscathed, but it's kind of like she's sort of the one heroine of the whole game. It does tend to get a little bit on the unrealistic side, I thought, but then, it's not like I'm really buying into the realism of the entire thing, because that's a pretty scary place.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, does anybody have any, overall questions, maybe about, any sticking points in the plot or general themes or anything that they want to discuss? Well, first of all, let's say, do we like it? In general, did we like it?
I did. I liked all of them. The last book was a little bit harder to get through. I mean, it took me almost a week to get through it.
Really?
Yeah, because and I was busy, and I understand that, but even I would just stare at it, and I've already read it, so I knew I was like, oh, no, I have to read this. Because I already know what happens, but there were some points I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that, or whatever, but the third book, I think, in my opinion, was harder to get through.
Yeah.
So,
of what I read, I liked so far.
I would give it a thumbs up. I'm not saying thumbs down. And I'm saying the third book made me like it.
Yeah.
If the third book hadn't been in there, I would not have liked it.
What about you, Holly?
I liked it. Obviously there were some parts that I was a fan of more than others, but I do agree with Noelle and the idea that is Noelle who said that, right? That the third book was kind of what made it.
Yeah.
I sort of felt that way too. I mean, I remember starting the third book and thinking oh man, she's got a lot of loose ends to tie up here. I don't know how it's all gonna get done, but she managed to do it. And while I don't know that I was particularly a big fan of the ending itself, I do think that the third book was probably the most important part.
Yeah.
what part of it, of the ending? Like Coin getting killed?
Oh, I love that part.
I did too.
That was such an awesome thing. Or just the
Sorry,
ending,
we're going to ruin any surprises for you guys.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry. I forgot about that.
Are you talking about with her, kind of ending up with PETA, but...
Yeah, and then, that whole thing toward the end where she was
in a depression.
lamenting their post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
And all of that. I mean, I'm sure it's a logical consequence, and it makes sense, and I would be equally offended if it was then they were just fine, and they
Right.
pretty children, or whatever. But, I guess, because sometimes I sort of looked at the books as almost kind of like an allegory.
Yeah.
And so then, if that's where we're going to go with it, that they had post-traumatic stress disorder and were all dragged up, and it's I think that's maybe a fuzz heavy-handed.
I think they waited a really long time for her to make her decision, who she was going to end up with. And it almost wasn't even her decision. It was because PETA came back, that was the only way they got together, because she wasn't going out to look for him. He came back to her.
Right, but I think that has a lot to do with the whole, what Holly was talking about with the post-traumatic stress and everything. I mean, when I was reading into that, I was thinking about how it was sort of that was one of the themes going on in this book was mental health.
Well, sure.
And
of course.
that, you know, there was this psychological terrors of the Capitol that were probably worse than the physical terrors. I was picking up on
nightmares. I mean, she had nightmares right from the very beginning.
The nightmares.
With her father and everything.
And, I mean, the way that they talked about, like, even the mutts, you know, from the Capitol, that they're not just vicious in that they're going to physically harm you, but that they were attacking your mental state.
Oh, yeah. With the faces and all
Exactly.
that? Yeah.
And so I see what, I mean, yeah, I guess I see what you mean by it being a little bit heavy-handed, Holly, but I think because of also really the audience that this is going towards, I mean, it's youth lit, right? Yeah. So you can't be completely subtle, because you need the kids to pick up on it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I can see what you mean.
But I also think, you know, like what you were talking about, Ange, I was seeing that a lot about how you were saying how it was not really her choice necessarily, that because PETA came back to her.
It was. I mean, it is at the very end. I mean,
she didn't
have to, but what I'm saying is, like, she just went back and forth so many times.
But I felt like that was so true of her, like, throughout, not just with the whole PETA and Gail thing, but that Katniss didn't have a choice in a lot of what was going on, that she was thrust into every role. She was not, she was forced into being the Mockingjay. I mean, well, that was one of my questions, is like, did she ever really become the Mockingjay, or was that thrust upon her? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really valid point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There was a point in the third book where I felt like she finally was, but I'm trying to think what it was.
Well, even when she agreed to do it,
yeah,
it was like she was agreeing to do it to save the others.
Right.
So it really wasn't her choice to say, you know what, I am going to step up to this, blah, blah, blah. I think she was, I guess I understand what you're saying, kind of thrown into it, or it really wasn't her decision. She felt like she had to.
Yeah. And I think, I think I remember, and I'll have to look for it, but I thought there was a part in the second book where I felt like, okay, yeah, she really did take on this role for herself, as opposed to, I mean, I think it was a little of both. I mean, I don't think she would have ever thought about it. She never would have become that if it hadn't been thrust upon her. But when it was, she did, I think, finally take the mantle and make it her own.
Yeah, in a way, because really her other option was to run away.
Right.
And she changed her mind.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that might have to do something too with, you know, how she talks a lot about how she kind of misses being back with Gail and like when things were simpler or whatever.
Yep.
I think that might be part of the reason, kind of maybe why she mourns that time, because really, if you think about it, yeah, in terms of the Capitol, she didn't really have a lot of choice, but in terms of like her family and that kind of thing, when she was living back there, she did have more agency in terms of like being the provider and helping to make decisions for the family and that kind of thing. Whereas in the situation of her being the Mockingjay, I mean, everything is decided for her.
Right. So, I've heard other people compare this to Battle Royale. Are you guys familiar with that?
An Invisible Man?
No, Battle Royale, which is a Japanese book and then turned into a movie. So, does anyone here have Netflix besides me?
Yes.
It's on there.
Okay.
It's a Japanese movie, and it is subtitled. But it's about the Japanese government finally decides that these kids are basically hooligans, right? And so they'll randomly pick an entire class to throw onto an island, and they have 3 days to either kill each other and have one survivor, or the government's just going to kill them all. And this came out before, both the book and the movie came out before Hunger Games. So I've
never heard anybody say anything
about that. I've heard other people compare Battle Royale to this. I mean, and, you know, well, trolls on the internet will be like, oh, I liked this book better when it was called Battle Royale, you know, that kind of crap. But, and so that got me to thinking, well, it's not like there's a monopoly on this idea either, though. I mean, I remember reading a similar sort of story to this way back in middle school when I was reading Stephen King. Lord of the Flies.
Exactly what I was thinking. When
Lord of the Flies is one of them, but what differs, in my opinion, though, is that was an accident. You know, that was a plane crash. That was an accident. So they weren't being forced into that. But what happened? But there was a Stephen King short story called The Long Walk that was very similar to this, too. And then the idea of The Running Man, which was also Stephen King.
Yeah, I remember that.
So The Running Man was that was turned into a movie too, though, and that one was a game show thing where prisoners were made. Yeah, it was. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. Richard Dawson.
Sounds great. I love that.
So, but that was based on a Stephen King short story. Prisoners were forced to fight to the death for the entertainment of other people. They'd watch this game show.
Okay. Huh.
So, and I was like.
Interesting.
They recently did that with cars, didn't they? Convicts and driving or something?
Yeah, it was Death Race.
Yeah.
That's what it was called. I'm trying to load up my Netflix so I can put it on my list of stuff to watch.
It was really interesting. I did finally watch it, and it was weird. I mean, because, you know, Japanese films are often weird, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a Japanese film. I've seen some Chinese ones.
Yeah.
That'd be neat. They'll say it's not good enough because it's not anime.
Yeah. Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
I'm gonna put it on my paper sticky note. Spell right.
Are you Googling it right now, Holly?
Yeah.
See? I know you.
But
Interesting.
it was really interesting, and I don't know if you get a chance to check it out. If you can go through the whole reading a movie thing, which I don't mind if it's a good movie, but
Grace is already deaf, so we have it on all the time.
oh yeah, there you go.
So I'm totally used to that.
See, yeah, Erin and I ended up watching it. Jordan started watching it. She's my oldest daughter, and she got bored with it and walked away.
Well, yeah. When I was younger, I wouldn't have bothered.
She's my 16-year-old, and my 14-year-old watched it. So, but she's violent, so there you go.
Right.
And this was very violent, very bloody.
Really?
It was like the equivalent of rated R for Japanese films.
Oh, okay.
It reminded me of Quentin Tarantino type stuff.
Oh, did it?
Like
Yeah.
Django.
Yeah.
That was very violent.
Yeah, I will never see that again.
So,
The whole commentary on entertainment and reality,
yeah.
I thought was really interesting. I do like that.
Yeah,
I really do.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, and that's been true since, day one, that violence is entertainment. I mean, we go back to the Romans and the gladiators and, and even back before that, so let's fight to the death. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Romans did that all the time.
Yep. But and I think that what makes this book a little bit different, which is I think why the comparison to Battle Royale comes in so much, is because it's kids rather than adults that are forced into this.
Why did they pick? I mean, I understand that they did it to make a point, but why did they do the kids and sacrifice the kids versus?
Because it's more tragic.
And it shows their power.
Yeah. It shows that the capital has that much power over you that we can take away your children.
I almost cried at the moment where Mags died. Was her name Mags?
Mags, yes.
Oh my gosh, I
When
almost
she
cried.
ran into the fog. Oh my god, me too.
I can't wait till the second movie comes out.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I'm curious what they'll leave in and out.
I know, me too.
I feel like they cut a lot out of the first book. I think that they cut out a lot of her background and how things were
Yes.
in her life. you know, how hard it was. They
Yes.
had to hunt every day. I feel like they just skipped over a ton of that, and I was like,
And the
because that defines
dehydration and
the character.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch it again now that I've read the
And me
book.
too. Yeah, I told my husband I wanted to rent it again because I haven't seen it since it came out in the theater last year.
They
So
emphasized her dad's death in the
not really
movie
at all.
Not as much.
No,
I don't
they
really
flashed
remember
back
that
a
so
lot.
She did.
The singing thing, did they?
No, they definitely didn't talk about the singing thing in the movie at all. None of that connection. Well, I mean, Peeta mentions it.
Though, they didn't really even talk about it. It was the second
That's
and third
true. It's
book
more
where
like
the songs started coming out.
no, but even in the first book, they do talk about it because it was because Peeta was no, not the hanging tree one. It was why Peeta's dad was telling Peeta that you know he was in love with her mom, and it was and so Peeta was like, well, why didn't she want to marry you, Dad?
Yeah. See, I feel like there's a lot more background that is missed
Yes.
in the book.
Definitely.
Those stories you don't see and stuff like that.
No. I mean, I think the one thing that bothered me the most in book versus movie that was the whole thing where Peeta was with the tributes or the careers in the first book.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, he was doing it to protect her, but I didn't think that, like, that was not talked about enough in the movie. I mean, in the movie, I'm left wondering, why is he with them? And, you know,
We have no idea at that point that he has feelings for her.
Right. Well, because
not real feelings.
Yeah, we don't figure that out till what?
Because you read her thoughts in the book.
Right.
They can't really say that in the movie.
Right.
I mean, it seems like they'd have to make up some conversation or whatever.
I did like that in the book. It showed more of her thoughts in that she wasn't really falling for him exactly. Like
Right.
she had that agenda in her head because
Yes.
in the movie you can't really tell that.
No.
And I really disliked her because I totally thought that she was screwing with him. And then when I read it in the book, I realized, okay, she has more of an agenda going on here than they really convey.
Right.
And I can respect her a little more.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, for her, the whole issue of trust, I mean, because she has no trust for anyone. So even when she, you know, she has to step back and be like, I remember one of the things that she said in the first book was that a kind Peeta was far more dangerous to her than anything else. And I was just like, that. I mean, that's someone who's got some major trust issues.
I was kind of not upset when he choked.
Oh my god, I cried! Are you kidding me? You are horrible, though.
I know. I was actually kind of rooting for Snow.
Only because you don't like. See, I think. Well, I cried not because of. I really couldn't care less who she ended up with. That was not. I was more upset about them doing that to Peeta.
I didn't really have an opinion on who she would end up with. I was just really excited to see who it would be and for what reason. But what were you gonna say?
It was just. I mean, Peeta is the only genuinely good character in the whole thing, and then they took that away from him, which to me it was just like the worst thing of all.
Loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I was heartbroken. I mean, it was.
Oh, I can read this.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was a great plot twist and everything, but it was just gut wrenching. I was heartbroken for Peeta.
It was awesome because, like, one line before he choked her, I was like, oh, wait a minute, is he sweet?
Oh no, Al.
I'm like, I'm gonna make enemies.
You're so dark.
Is that the second book?
Yeah, third. No, that's the third.
No, the third.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the second one ends right when they rescue them
from the arena. Yeah. So
where are you
I felt retarded. I didn't see that coming.
I got to like chapter 3 of the second one because I had to go back.
Book.
The third book I got up to chapter 8. So right after they got done in District 8 or whatever, where the hospital and stuff were getting.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and so it was right after that I think Peeta came back because they were doing that. Weren't they doing that as the diversion?
No, that was in
they were preparing for
2 when they go to.
No, okay, yep.
Then he's brought back because she comes back and he's already there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because I started 3 and I'm just like, okay, why are they in a different
like all of a sudden District 3
and then why are they? I mean, I had had so many questions, and I'm like, okay, maybe I just, maybe it's supposed to skip time, and I'm just like, okay, well, maybe.
That's okay. I'm just sorry we're going to be basically telling you what happens all over the place.
I'm going to read it anyway because I want to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I really loved the brief little conversation in 3 that Gail and Peta had.
Peta.
Store.
Yeah.
And she was sleeping.
Yeah, and how neither of them know what she's going to do, and nobody really controls her or anything. I was like, that was such a nice little scene.
Yeah, it'll be interesting again when they do the 3rd movie. Oh, I heard that they're actually splitting the 3rd book into 2 movies, like they've been doing recently. Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see how that works out.
To make more money.
Exactly.
It really is all it is.
That's exactly all it is.
Is there a lot more action and drama in this 3rd book?
Yes and no. I mean,
the first 3 quarters, there's not much that goes on.
That's true. Because she's in the hospital most of the time.
A quarter of the book is the ending, and it's really even not that much of a fight. It really isn't. I mean, there's a section where they have a few hours out of the day trying to get to Snow's mansion or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not. I felt like there wasn't very much action. I think that's why I didn't like it as well. I mean, I thought it was still good, but I just
so like build up for kind of a fizzle.
Kind of. That's why I thought there would be more.
Not quite like a Twilight fizzle, where there really is all this build up to absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Why? What was the lack of ending?
In Twilight?
Yeah.
That there was no war. There was no fight.
Oh, there wasn't?
No.
Oh.
Did you not see the last movie? Oh.
I read all the books. And,
there's no fight. There's all of this build up for nothing. No fight.
Really disappointing.
Yes.
The Vulture or whatever. And
Yes.
If we read through all this, then we get there and they're like, yeah, here's keys, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I throw it across the room.
Right.
And you would have too.
But I think that, what I found also, again, fascinating about these books is it wasn't necessarily just about the fight, because that could just be that could be it. Oh, that we won, hooray, let's go home. But it's not that. It's also the after effects of, okay, we had this fight, we had this war, but really there's still no clear winner. War sucks no matter what side you're on.
Yeah.
You still there, Holly?
I'm here.
Okay. So I think that, in a way, this is really realistic. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It doesn't, it really, shows, and especially the intended audience, teenagers, there's nothing cool about war.
It's not going to solve anything.
Which I think in today's day and age, we need that message to be out there.
I like the message about class.
I do too.
I thought that was really
Oh yeah, it was like textbok Marxist criticism all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's totally what it reminded me of.
Yeah, me too. I was like, bourgeois proletariat.
Did anything happen to Caesar in the end? I was trying to remember if he's shown up again.
Who?
The DJ for the show,
Caesar Flickerman?
Yeah.
No, I
He
don't.
didn't come back, because Effie did.
Effie did come back, but I don't think. I'm gonna guess Caesar was killed like everybody else because he was part of the games. I mean, they said all the designers were killed, so I think
he was kind of a setup. Even though he may not have been directly involved in the workings of it, he was kind of the setup man.
Yeah, he totally was. I mean, he's the one that would be sitting there with Peta as he gets tortured. Yeah. So I'm guessing Caesar didn't last.
I love the moment when she realized how Snow was using Peta against her.
Yes.
That was really fun.
Yes, it was.
I was glad they had that.
And I was glad that they did that too, because I mean, part of me was like, what is up with Finnick? Oh my god, why is this guy like so just shuffling around in his little hospital robe with his rope? What is going on with this dude?
I really liked the twist she gave him, that how the Capitol used him. Yeah, that was a really interesting twist.
And it was suspicious that you guys did the survey. Tell me to do the survey.
I didn't. No.
Oh, well, here. I thought you did the survey, so I'm gonna bring you a cake.
Well,
Thank
you.
Our carrot cake filled with cream cheese pasta.
Oh,
I was
good
so
job.
tempted to get that too.
Seriously? Oh, so now you get to try it.
Awesome. Thank you.
The trays are kind of huge, but you can always combine it with the bear claw.
So then you could probably put 2 on that one and 2 on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's great. Thanks.
So
Holly,
we
we're
left
getting
the
carrot
over
cake.
the carrot. Oh, carrot candy. Okay, look at this.
Thank you.
Did I bring enough forks? Nope, I need one more.
It's all right.
Well, if you choose to do a survey, we would love it if you did it.
All right. Thank you.
Who knows what other treats are coming your way?
Holly, we got carrot cake.
Missing out.
Oh, fabulous.
I'm a pig. I will use my hands to more about it. Didn't we get something last time? Like a couple times? Well, okay, months ago, but we were here. We got cookies or something?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Waiting for you to do it. Oh, we got free stuff for buttering you up.
I know, right?
Did you guys do it?
But it tastes horrible, Holly. Honestly, I don't know why they gave it to us. It's probably stale.
Oh. Well, did you guys have a favorite character?
Well, you know it wasn't Katniss for me.
I don't know. Hamish is pretty freaking awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love
And I
Hamish.
really, really
That
love
was his first name.
who is
That was Eddie or Woody Harrelson.
Woody
Yes.
Harrelson. I love who they cast for that. I
Yes,
think
Woody
he
does a
did
great job as
great.
Hamish.
I really like him because
I kind of think I would have been Hamish.
it really
Oh, you
shows.
didn't even wait for the fork. Oh, you did. So if you do get a chance to go online and do the survey, I just brought you a receipt.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Put
okay.
your comments in there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, very
It's
good.
really good. It's like an old fashioned, really,
Yeah.
really
Like the
happy.
wood kind of carrot cake. Yeah.
Like Grandma used to make, but doesn't have time for anymore.
Sounds like all of us.
I love that Hamish would not pull punches with her.
Yes.
I really respected that.
But I also like, because it shows what a true character, what really any one of us probably would have went through.
Yeah.
How we would have ended up if we had been in the games.
Yeah.
A drunk, you know,
Right.
a loner.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
I thought it was like
absolutely.
a true character. I don't know.
I wish they would have showed in the movie when he fell off the stage in the very first book. Oh my god, I laughed so hard. I laughed out loud reading that part. I'm like, why did they not put this in the movie? This is hilarious.
In my head, I was picturing him
He
falling.
just fell off the
So
back of the
he
chair
didn't-
or something.
Okay.
Then he rocked
I
in his
think
chair or something. He sat down
fall
and or something.
No, he wasn't even
Right
there.
off the stage.
In the movie, he was not even there during
yeah.
the drawing of the names.
No, you're right. He wasn't.
Oh.
In the movie, I don't
I was in
remember.
my mind, I was putting him
We
there.
didn't make him
He-
until they
they
were on the
didn't.
train.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh.
And he was already drunk and everything.
Yep. And in the book, he punches PETA, and in the movie, he just, pushes him down with his foot.
Yeah. And they don't show him getting so soft where PETA goes to give him a shower. They don't
Right.
show that either.
Oh, yeah. What was the movie rated? 13?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid.
I know.
Well,
it's-
it probably would.
Audience, so.
There's one thing to read about it, and there's another to actually see a
Well,
grown
okay,
man
yeah.
punching a child.
Yeah, well, this is true.
I'm not a fan of the walnuts, but
Yeah, she didn't ask if anybody had allergies or anything.
this is true.
Maybe.
No, she didn't.
I don't know, for all of 2, I just really felt like I posted online. This girl cannot make up her mind,
Mm.
and they're emphasizing that so much.
But isn't that true of a lot of 15, 16,
Well,
17-year-old girls with
Yeah,
love
but
interests?
when they can be decisive about so many other things in their life,
See, and here's what I thought.
and I felt like the whole nation.
Yeah, but it was
gonna
like every
follow
time
her.
she saw Gail,
Yeah.
you're probably right.
I
This will be
felt-
my true love, blah, blah, blah. And then when she sees PETA, you're just like, screw Gail.
I felt like that was too artificial, and that was
Okay.
really bothering me.
But here's
I do
where
agree with that.
here's why I actually disagree with you guys, because I
still
felt like whatever. I felt like the struggle was not in who she liked necessarily.
Okay.
It was more in the fact that she didn't want to like anyone. Because she didn't want to have kids. She didn't want to be in this world.
Yeah.
She did not think that there was a use in loving anyone. That's not what this world is for.
But then, why did she sacrifice so much for the ones that she did love?
Well, that's because you're still human. I don't know, but I mean, that's the head and the heart
As
arguing with each other.
Having a family in this world versus being born into a family.
Exactly. I mean, the other thing that I saw in this book is something that I see, and I don't know if you guys are a fan of The Walking Dead at all.
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay, so the big thing that I see in The Walking Dead is that whole debate on the difference between living and surviving. And that's what I saw being debated in this book too, in this trilogy, in that what's the point in surviving if there's nothing to live for? And there are characters that are on each side of that.
And you're fighting for what?
For what? To continue breathing for another day? Or for love? For, you know, being able to have a normal life, to be free, you know?
Which seems like it's so far away in both cases.
Yes.
That, I mean, that one person couldn't change that, you know?
And for Katniss, in most of these books, I saw her fighting to survive. And that's all.
Well, even Gail said that she'll pick who she needs to survive.
Right. And yet,
who she can't live without.
He said survive.
Oh, yeah,
he said survive.
That's
but
right.
I think he also missed the point in what he meant by survive. Like, she realizes at the very, I mean, that's what we're told at the very end of the third book, is that, you know, she realizes she needs the spring and the hope that is Peeta to survive, not the fire that is Gale. She's got enough of that on her
that
own.
was important that they said that. Yeah.
And balances her out.
And I think that's because Peeta is life. Peeta is the living, not just surviving to go on breathing another day.
Right. Yeah.
And I was so bummed when Dale was killed off, because he was the one that really kept, you know, hammering that in The Walking Dead about, we can't be
who are you
this.
talking about?
I was doing right here. You sure got the name right? Was that a tribute?
Right?
In The Walking Dead, yeah. I mean, when we lost Dale in The Walking Dead, we lost our conscience.
How many seasons has it been?
It's on 3 right now. Like, it's about to start.
It's kind of weird because it splits for
Yeah, it
months
does.
at a time.
Yeah, so it's about to start the midway point of season 3 on Sunday.
Yes, Sunday.
We watched it for a little while, and then I forget where we stopped. Oh my god, it's so good. I love The Walking Dead.
I've seen so many people reference that more. They're looking forward to that more than Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Like, man, kind of me too.
Me too, for sure. And I don't even remember it was Valentine's Day. I just remember it was Walking Dead.
Well, see, I was under the impression it was starting on the 17th, and I saw something that starts on the 10th. I'm like, a week earlier.
Yeah. Sunday.
You know, I honestly don't know if I can think of the smell of roses differently.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
I think
Especially
it might be
after
ruined for
seeing
me.
the first movie.
Yes.
And
In the garden.
who Snow was and the actor.
Oh my god, Donald Sutherland
Oh, yeah,
kills
that's right.
it.
I was trying to
I
think
know
of
their
that.
cast is just awesome.
Yeah.
It just really is.
Yeah. I love Lenny as Cinna. Love Lenny.
Lenny?
Lenny Kravitz as Cinna.
Oh, yeah.
He does such a great job.
Yes, he does.
Perfect.
See, I'm gonna have to go back and see that movie.
But
I don't remember a whole lot.
did you have any suspicions about what the whole blooded roses thing was? With
I
his smell?
was trying to figure that out.
I just started reading about that in the second book,
Yes.
and she was talking about the
Yes.
smell and
Mhm.
how his
his
breath
yeah.
smells like blood.
You don't really get that until the end of the third book, right?
3/4 in, because
Three-quarters
Finnick was
in.
Finnick's the one that talks
he was-
about
Oh, yeah,
it.
that's
That
right,
was
because he
sweet.
has secrets.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that he traded his secrets in that book.
I know.
That was awesome.
Yes.
That was another thing that when I started with the third book, and it said, so Katniss and Finnick, blah, 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 and I'm like, who the heck is Finnick? That's how I knew. I'm like, I am missing something somewhere. What the heck? I can't believe I didn't figure it out until 8 chapters in.
Well, because some of the things were familiar enough, it could have been.
Yeah.
easy.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I was
And
thinking.
you know
is that
why?
a period of time had lapsed.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Here's why I think it probably was, because, and this is actually something that absolutely drove me nuts about these books, is that she was so repetitive. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you read the first book, and then you pick up the second, and you start reading, and she's like, starts a whole paragraph about something that we already knew from the first book. I'm like,
Yeah, that was annoying.
just read that. Why are you telling me this again? I know.
Yeah, that was kind of. And then there were other little ways where I would forget the intended audience, and I feel like I don't.
But the
need
other thing
you
is,
to
you
hand
understand
that to
we
me.
all
I
read
can
them
figure
back to
that out.
back. People have to wait for these to come out.
I know, but you know
I've
what?
seen that with
Yeah.
other series where
But
they
that,
reiterate.
I didn't think
Yeah.
it was that bad. I mean, like
No.
Harry Potter, you pick one up and you better know what happened the book before. There's not a whole lot of going back and reiterating all this
Yeah, for the
stuff.
most part, yeah.
I mean, you're reading a series. You better remember it. Or reread the first book before you're going to, I mean, don't be wasting a whole paragraph or two on something I already know.
Right.
I mean, come on.
That is totally the audience.
That is. You're exactly right.
Coming
That's
back from
totally the
Christmas
audience.
break, a whole week of review.
That annoyed me.
Yeah, that was irritating me a bit. I think that's probably where I felt like I wanted the prose a little smarter. Yeah, I didn't want to be handed everything. But I tried to keep well, not that hard. But a few times I tried to remind myself the perspective of who the intended audience was.
I would agree with that. I told Aaron after the first time I read it, I said, no, these were good, but they weren't meaty enough for me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think that's just because we're English majors.
I don't think so.
You didn't think that, did you?
They were very easy reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went through that first book quick. That's why I said if I would have gotten them in order, I would have sorted them out. But
What did you think, Holly?
In terms of whether or not the content was enough.
Yeah, if you wanted it more meaty, unless here it is on a plate for you.
Right.
Yeah. Although I tried to sort of, be not necessarily overly critical about that because I understood that the intended audience was, younger people, and so I knew that there was going to be some, spelling things out, but there were times definitely where I felt like it got pretty excessive, and I found myself at some points, particularly when there was something that I wanted to see like resolved or addressed, and there was over to like recap before that, I would kind of like fall into the yada yada and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say half a book too. I just skimmed.
For sure.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I actually really liked
the arena
book 2.
stuff. It was so torturous.
I really liked it.
because was it duplicating like the first one?
No, it was very different.
In how it was completely different location and a lot harder challenges and suffering they had to go through. But at the same time, I just felt like, oh my god, I don't want to read about her being thirsty again. I don't want to read about them being hungry. I get it.
Well, but it was also, I think, more of a. What was the biggest challenge in the second arena for her was that she was not in it alone from the very beginning, like she was in the first book. She had to learn to be part of a team in that arena because she's a very solitary character.
Yeah.
Other than with
Very
Gale.
independent.
I felt dumb that I didn't stop and think, oh wait, yeah, these people really do have an agenda when they don't have to help her and Peeta.
Right.
What are they really doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew there was something there. I was telling them, yeah.
Well, especially when, that tweaker from District 6 all of a sudden jumps out and blocks the monkey attack. And you feel like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they and for Mags to just drop and be like, okay, off to the fog I go.
Yeah.
Why are they sacrificing themselves for them?
Yeah, at the point that Mags died, I started thinking, alright now.
What's going on?
Yeah. This isn't just regular, I've got your back, dude.
Right.
But then, it was pretty shortly after that. I mean, it wasn't very much further that they were like, all of a sudden, she's rescued. And they're pulled out. I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't see that.
Right.
I was disappointed in myself.
That you didn't figure something out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I wasn't trying too hard, but yeah.
And it surprises you.
Mm-hmm. That is good.
It was just awesome when he strangled her.
See, and I thought it was, I was like, that. I actually saw this coming, but I did think it was really awesome that she killed Coin.
Oh, yeah. I totally knew she was going to kill
Yeah.
As soon as she saw Snow, and he was like, we never lied to each other. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Coin's going down.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
coming. I just know it.
For sure.
I love the whole, I hadn't really stopped to think about how Coin and Plutarch were using her.
Yes.
I mean, I knew they were, of course, because they're giving her all these things to do and propping her up and dressing her up. But I hadn't really thought about the actual deceit of District 13.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to past time we don't even know about.
Right.
And that made it really interesting for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really liked that twist.
Yeah.
Because, Snow being the big bad villain just wasn't interesting enough.
Mm-hmm.
But Coin really was.
Yes. Yeah, because you wouldn't trade one dictator for another?
Mm-hmm.
Don't think so.
Now, who was that?
She was the president of District 13. Coin was.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that.
Which they don't.
You don't really see her that much. I mean, she's talked about enough and blah, 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 but...
I may have had a reference to her in the first few chapters.
Yeah, there probably
Yeah,
was.
because she wakes up in 13, right?
Yes, she does.
So
Wake up
after
in
a couple
13.
of chapters, they have a meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's more of her rehabilitation and all that than interacting with Coin until she finally makes that decision to be invincible.
Right.
And then they interact more.
Okay.
Yep.
Because like I said, I got to the point where they dropped her off in 8, and then the hospital got bombed and all that.
Yep.
And they pulled him out, and then shortly, I think right after they pulled him out of 8, I think it was 8, is when I stopped.
Yeah. So then you did at least get to read my probably most favorite part in the whole series, when was it the bigger guy that she was with? Why can't I think of his name right now? When she was getting on board to go to 8, and Finnick wanted to go with them. He's in his hospital gown. She's like, well, Finnick, you might want to put on some pants. And he rips it off. Why do you find this distracting?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then what cracked me up though was like after that when they board the craft and somebody's like talking about how handsome Gale is, and he's like, well, we just saw Finnick O'Dare in his underwear, so you're gonna have to do better than that. That was my favorite.
I really respected that they made her train. They finally made her train.
Yes.
Because I was like, yeah, okay, she can shoot, yes, but I mean, come on.
She's not a soldier.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Gail was going through all of that stuff, and so I thought that was cool. The final challenge she had, where she had to follow orders because she was not following them at all.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, yeah, that's me.
She's a smart cookie.
Maybe some of what bothered me was that I felt like Chris was a lot like Chris would have been that way. And
you were a lot like Katniss?
No. She wasn't doing things or being the way I would have.
But the independence is there.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I guess probably her lack of emotion is what bothered me.
Oh,
because I
okay.
am fairly emotional. And so that not being evident in her.
I think that she is very emotional, but she's put up such a wall.
Yeah, there's a huge wall.
There's a huge wall, and that's why she breaks down so much.
Anybody to trust,
right?
To share those feelings with.
Right. I mean, that's why she breaks down in the basement of the house after she finds out that she has to go back in the arena. Mm-hmm. That's why she ends up so broken after Prim. Mm-hmm. Because she doesn't allow herself to feel until she's forced to.
In some ways, I kind of question whether psychologically she could handle all that she did. I don't know if I buy into that she could have.
I do.
Yeah, but how many times was she in the hospital, like catatonic state or unconscious or on medicine? And, that's pretty. I sort of realistic. I guess.
By the end, she should have been Annie.
Well, I think she may be. I do too.
They wrapped it up well, but
I don't know that.
I don't buy that she's not Annie. Yeah, she still has her.
Yeah, she was, in her house for months. Wouldn't take a call. Didn't read the letters.
Right.
What did you think about her mom living apart?
I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been disingenuous. I think if her mom was there.
Yeah.
I think that was correct. That makes sense for both their characters.
As soon as I read that she saw the braid of Prim, I thought, she's dead.
Yep.
She's dead.
Yep. Yeah, but what about that twist about it being basically Gail's bomb?
That was clever. I really liked that. That was really neat.
Yeah, she would never. I mean, even if it wasn't,
Yeah.
But still, it's there, and there's no getting over that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, your idea killed my sister. Yeah, there's no future for us.
I like the cat.
The cat
reminded me of
Yeah. The cat did kind of remind me of Carl. That was neat.
Especially when she said, you're like the ugliest thing ever, or something like that. I was like, oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been satisfied if Haymitch didn't survive.
Really?
Yeah, I felt he needed to be there. I'm glad that he was.
Yeah.
So does he turn into more of like a father figure to her? I mean, like, I haven't been out that part.
I wouldn't say so.
No.
Not exactly.
I don't even think they really have a real relationship at the end.
It doesn't seem to be. I mean, I think they're still neighbors. Yeah.
He never really.
No, he went back into the bottle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He went back into his
so
bottle.
ruining this for her. I feel bad.
Hey, that's all right. Because what I'll do is replay this in my mind as I'm reading it and be like, oh yeah, they were right.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
right.
it won't totally ruin it.
Did Sierra read all three of them?
Yeah.
Did she tell you much about what she thought?
No, we haven't talked about it. She spends all the time with her.
Oh yeah, that is a teenager. I
You're
didn't
not.
break that up for you people. I'm not eating it.
Yeah, I hope that
She's got a big
Grace.
old cinnamon roll.
I know. I'm not gonna be able to eat all this. You guys, if anybody had a fork or wants to split, pretty good.
Holly, you want some cinnamon rolls?
Of course I do. Like,
Should we take a picture and send it to you?
That's just
My
so
happy
mean.
cinnamon roll.
Oh goodness.
I'm glad I read them.
I'm glad that you did too, even if you didn't like Katniss very much.
Yeah.
I don't hate her.
Well, that's good.
I don't hate her.
Let's talk about the next book.
But she's not
Any
your favorite.
suggestions?
Holly, do you have a suggestion for the next book?
oh boy. Well, Linda, the caregiver, gave me the Poisonwood Bible.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Really good. Has anybody read it?
No.
I read part of it. I
What
didn't
is
finish
it?
it.
The Poisonwood Bible.
Barbara King something?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you not finish it because you weren't into it?
Yeah.
Well, then maybe that solves that issue.
It was quite a while ago though. And I can't remember if she's the same author that did The Handmaid's Tale, which bugged the shit out of me.
How is that possible?
Right?
Yeah, I haven't even picked it up, so I don't know that much about it or anything.
Well, we were talking about the guy who we have coming to Grand Valley on April 10th for Student Scholars Day. His name is Jonathan Gottschall. He wrote a book called The Storytelling Animal: How Stories Make Us Human. I started reading it, and I thought it was really interesting.
Storytelling all one
It's really cool.
Yep. Look it up. Google it. See what you think.
How come I'm not finding
Absolutely, will do.
Do you have a Kindle?
I have it on iBooks.
I totally forgot I could use this thing to look for something.
Oh, I bet it's trying to find it in my list of books, which is about 4 long. I'm not used to this technology stuff yet. I'm excited about my phone, but I'm not used to this whole Kindle stuff. This phone, relatively what? On my birthday or 2 months ago.
Well, one thing I was saying before some of you got here was I was looking at movies that were originally books so that we could read a book and then see the movie, and I was trying to get something really different from what we had done, and I was interested in reading something, well, I already told you this, Holly, something a little more international. Because I was looking at foreign films, trying to see if there was something that was a book. And because at the UICA, they have some foreign films coming this month and into the first week of March that I thought looked interesting because it just sort of feel like a lot of American movies are really boring and overdone. And that foreign films are more interesting. They do some more interesting things, and then a lot of them also suck. But I thought the ones that they had coming, there's one called The Blue Kite, which is set in China, which I thought looked interesting. And then there's one about the Beirut Hotel, and there was some controversy because it wasn't premiered. No. Well, I think they look like they kind of were. But the Beirut Hotel one had something to do with some political controversy in Lebanon, and so they wouldn't air it in the country. And so I was curious to see if there's a book or something. What was it called? The Beirut Hotel. But I didn't find a book for either of those in my Amazon search. Oh. Which is the be-all end of having a connection. So, but that doesn't mean that, later on down the road we don't find something. Unless we could, because I even know that Holly, you might have some ideas, since you read some post-colonial stuff. I thought, well, that might kind of make you internationally rad a bit, and that you could come up with something. Though you didn't read anything from China, did you? Yeah, because they were colonized. But there might be a similar kind of parallel, because there's lots of different books that have written about some things that have happened, and so it might not be that book version of the movie, but the same events could have happened in another book, and then we could talk about the different ways that it was handled or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good.
And I'm just hoping that Holly can do that for us. Yeah, that was commitment there.
Talk to that one.
But,
there we go.
So that was the ideas that I had today. And only today was the only day I put any thought into it. Oh, but then I thought, well, of course, you guys haven't been in the classes, so you haven't read the authors that we have. But if there was like an author we'd read in the past that we felt like, I want to go back and read something else by them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's always something we could go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like read one of the books that we were supposed to read.
What are you talking about? I remember it. I actually think Holly probably did read all of hers.
I bet she did.
I did.
See? You're the better person than we are.
Yep.
Yeah. No, because when I got there and I only needed like 7 of them, and I was pissed.
You were already mad, admit it.
Yeah. Well, you had every right to be mad.
Yeah.
There's actually lesson plans for the Poisonwood Bible.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there probably is.
Is there a little synopsis of the story at all? To
Of
refresh my
the
memory about
Poisonwood
it?
Bible?
Maybe I remember what I didn't like. I also could have just been
It is a story told by the wife and 4 daughters of Nathan Price, a fierce evangelical Baptist who takes his family and mission to the Belgian Congo in 1959. Carry with them everything they believe they'll need from home, but soon find that all of it, from garden seeds to scripture, is calamitously transformed on African soil. What follows is a suspenseful epic of one family's tragic undoing and remarkable reconstruction over the course of 3 decades in post-colonial Africa.
I don't remember it.
And it continues and continues.
I could have sworn it was on Oprah's book list.
Maybe.
Not that is our litmus test, but no, but she
I've heard of it
she
before.
has some decent taste.
Somebody just asked about a picture of me dancing at halftime.
Was there one?
No,
Oh.
they wanted one.
Well, yeah.
I didn't really have anything I had in mind. I mean, I have some books that are downloaded that just sounded interesting, but not necessarily for group, but just for me. But I'm open to almost
I also
anything.
thought about, classic as well.
Well, free ones are always good because you can usually get the Victorian type stuff for free on Kindle or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which didn't make me feel good after I bought them.
Right? Well, we bought the critical edition, so.
Yeah, we did. Did you read the criticism in them? I almost
Yeah.
never did.
I did. The ones that I read.
Even for the Victorian and stuff?
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, because Franciosi said that I should.
Well,
But then, I know. He wasn't the one writing my test.
no. Okay, how the hell do I do that?
What you looking for?
I'm trying to figure out how to change the Wi-Fi. And I thought if I tapped that, no, what didn't come up before?
So the storytelling animal in that, he's the author offers the first unified theory of storytelling. He argues that stories help us navigate life's complex social problems, just as flight simulators prepare pilots for difficult situations. Storytelling has evolved, like other behaviors, to ensure our survival. And he draws on the latest research in neuroscience, psychology, and evolutionary biology to tell us what it means to be a storytelling animal.
I think it sounds really cool.
I'm good with that.
What is it called?
It's the storytelling
Oh,
animal.
there it is. How stories make us human.
Yes. I mean, you guys don't have to pick it. I mean, I just thought it'd be interesting because the guy is actually going to be at Grand Valley, too. We could go see him. And it just sounded like a good book. At work, I used to work with the community reading project, so every year we'd have the author coming and that kind of stuff. And I only read one of those books ever because none of them really interested me, but this one actually does.
Yeah.
So.
It was like 2 years ago they had Loretta, what was her name? You remember? Like Loretta Flax.
Oh, Henrietta Lacks.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I meant to read that.
I didn't ever read it. But
It sounds really interesting because it plays on the mind, and I like that kind of stuff too.
yeah.
So, should we post some discussion threads on the group?
Why don't we pick 3 and put it out there on the page that people can pick from? Does that sound
really
good?
good reviews too.
Which one? The one that you were talking
The
about?
storytelling animal.
Do you guys want to do that?
Yeah, I definitely think we should.
Okay.
I think that would
Give other people some input.
Yeah.
And if they don't pick it, tough and too bad.
Right.
Majority rules.
Majority rules. Yeah. We'll decide
Set a
the 3.
deadline,
Yep. We'll put a deadline up of, let's say, a week
Yeah, that's good.
and give people to respond, and then whatever is the majority at the end, that's the one we'll read.
Sounds good.
So what 3 do we want to put out there?
Want that one.
Okay.
Are we talking, because that one we kind of wanted to do in March so that we were fresh on it for beginning of April, right?
Well, I think that would be one of the draws, is that, the author will be there in April, and then to do it for March.
Meeting there, everybody can show up there. If we can. I don't know if the seats are limited or where it's at, but
It's,
isn't
First come,
that
first serve.
it is first up. Yeah, it is.
it's in that big building, right?
It's in Kirkhoff. It'll be in the
Oh.
Pierre Marquette room in
I've
Kirkhoff.
never been in there.
It's upstairs. It'll seat about a couple hundred or so.
Oh wow. Okay.
So depending on, a lot of times because it's for Student Scholars Day, so a lot of times professors will send their students to the lecture, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's first pick of seats. There's no tickets. It's completely open.
Yep, absolutely. Anybody can walk in.
Yep.
That sounds interesting.
But no, my question is, so then do we not put it on the discussion and choices for February because we want it
Well, yeah.
Or we could just pick it for March.
Yeah.
Have somebody decide it for February because we've only got 3 weeks ish
That
left
is
in
also true.
February, so
Yeah.
pick
I
something
figured
kind
we
of
did like the first or
lighter.
second week every month to get together. Hopefully it'll work for some people.
Right.
Something to plan on. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so that could just be the suggestion for March.
All
Or
right.
not.
That could be our March book. So what, we do that like mid-March?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then something light for February. Since
Okay.
It's not as long of a month. Or,
Right.
Not that I have any ideas, but
Hmm.
Well,
What's a book you would read just for fun?
Me personally, I've been looking at.
There's a book
genres
by
do you feel like?
Stephen King that Tony read. It's like 1,100 pages long. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's something about JFK.
Oh.
He read it. He said it was so good. And then
Yes.
there's another one that he read.
He's read a lot of
Gone Girl. He said that was probably one of the best books.
I've heard about Gone Girl. Like, that one's at the top of a lot of reading
Waiting
lists.
to the library for it, but
What's it about?
he wouldn't give me specifics.
Let me
'cause
tell
he,
you.
You know, yeah. Have you read it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I haven't pulled up though. Out of Marriage, Gone Terribly Wrong.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm good.
Toxic mix. This sounds right up your alley. Toxic mix of sharp-edged wit and deliciously, I can't talk, chilling prose.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Creates a nerve-wracking thriller that confounds you at every turn. Just trying to summarize without reading this whole thing.
Stephen King?
No,
No, that one's Gillian
This
Flynn.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Gillian Flynn with a G.
There was one about, I can't remember what, but he said it was very good. I was like,
I'd be okay with Gone Girl. I've read the description on it. It sounded really interesting.
It does
I've
sound
also
good.
been reading, I checked out of the Kindle library, and now it's back again before I finished it. The Night Circus.
Night Circus?
Yeah, and it's a fantasy thing. Set like in the 1800s in England, where these two magicians that basically are raising up these kids to be in this magical challenge, but people don't know that magic really exists.
Right.
Because this one magician goes around performing like he's, doing tricks, but it's real magic, and people don't realize it's real magic. And I don't know, it was kind of interesting. It was the preface, the very beginning of the book was really grabbed me because it was talking in the perspective of you. It's like you're standing outside the gates, and you've got your scarf wrapped around your neck from the chill air. I was like, whoa. What do you mean I'm there?
Yeah.
But then it switched perspectives out into the next chapter, but still I was like, that's really interesting.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you had seen any of the new show on Jack the Ripper on BBC.
No, I haven't.
I want to say it's called The Ripper or something like that. It looks pretty neat. It looks pretty gritty, and they definitely get into the whole mental idea of the evil within kind of thing. It looks pretty neat.
I'm trying to see how big this Gone Girl was.
I don't think it's. It's probably not going to be that big.
It's not huge. I've seen the book.
Oh, it's
I
just
would
a
guess
regular
400
novel.
pages maybe.
Yeah.
And it's not a series. It's just a.
Well, do you guys want
put
each
it
of
on
us
the list.
to come up with one book, put it on there,
That works. Let's do
and
that.
then we'll just leave it up to voting?
Yeah.
Just pick two more, and then we'll just.
I like that Gone Girl option,
Gone Girl, okay.
because that's kind of more up my.
I thought it sounded really
I can-
interesting when I read
I
about
can
it.
listen. I can read the 1800 ones, but it won't be like as interesting. I just don't get into the history thing. I can still read it, but it's just not my cup of tea. But if it's magic and kind of a
Yeah.
Yeah.
story behind it, maybe it'll be a little more interesting.
So,
Holly, are you putting forth Linda the caregiver suggestion?
If you still need one, that's fine, but I'm not going to be brokenhearted.
Okay.
so Poisonwood Bible, Gone Girl,
And your magic.
Night Circus, okay. Any others?
Because that kind of gives three completely different types
Yeah.
of
That's true.
options.
Yep. Okay.
I have nothing.
So if we do that, should we put it out there as a just pick one, or should we have people rank them?
I'd say pick your favorite, I think.
That's it. Just pick one.
Because what
Pick
would
one.
be the
Alright.
The
benefit?
majority, whatever.
All right.
If it's a tie, then
Right.
whatever. We'll
Then we decide.
Exactly. Do the other one another time.
Right.
Mhm. whatever.
All right, awesome. Okay, well, this concludes the recording. We'll see if this actually comes out. Bye.